Hey, how's it going, guys? We're going to be getting started here very soon with Strategic Command, so I hope you guys are prepared. Okay, let's see. We're going to go ahead and get rid of this so we can see the Strategic Command screen. Now, this is unfortunate, and one thing that's unfortunate, we've had this issue with Strategic Command before when we stream it, and that is that you guys aren't seeing the overlays. So I actually have a save file open right now, but you can't see anything. You are, of course, going to be able to see the game and all that, but as far as the overlays go, I'm probably going to have to read those to you. So, for those of you that were here before, guys, we were actually doing a Cold War Let's Play. Where we were playing post World War II, and of course this is a mod that has been added to the game. We could also just go ahead and continue our D-Day to Berlin Axis Let's Play, where we try to hold off the Allies as long as possible, but I'm going to let you guys decide. I think we might continue with the Cold War scenario. We might also just go ahead and start with a new scenario, because it looks like we've got a few people here that haven't seen the game yet. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, they're all on top, as far as I can see, Muso. Let's take a look here. Auto detect, Slytherin group. Yeah, as far as I can see, they're all on top. Let me see. It could also be the issue here with Strategic Command. Yeah, we'll definitely be playing D-Day. So that's Operation Warlord, or Operation Overlord. We actually got an Operation Overlord save ready to go. But we might start at the beginning of Operation Overlord so you guys really get the feel of the game. Let's put it that way. Yeah, we definitely have it. I mean, the first thing that comes up is the Window 1 Slytherin Group Twitch. Hold on, we do have an auto detect here. Let's see if this fixes anything. Desktop 1, Afghanistan 11. It's weird. I think I see the problem here. We've got our chat box way down. There we go. Our chat box is actually 7 or 8 down, so we'll fix that. Anyway, guys, once again, we are getting started very soon, so I'm going to give you guys a warning about this game, and that is basically that this game is excellent. Unfortunately, whenever we do a stream on it, or do a Twitch stream on it, we don't see the historical background. In other words, there's menus that pop up giving pictures, giving historical background, and for whatever reason, the game just refuses to capture it. I don't know why that is, but we have to accept it. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. A lot of people have mentioned 1944. Now, do you guys want us to continue 1944 where we left off last time, or do you guys want us to start again with 1944 Operation Overlord? So let's go ahead and get a straw poll on that. Hey, Wavel, how you doing? And Dave, Kalani, all these great people. Bostova, I believe you're new. Welcome. So if you could just put continue, says Wavel. Okay. And I think we will continue. I think that's pretty fair. We can explain what's going on here to most people. Now, I am going to have to read all of the text, essentially. Alright, loading in D-Day to Berlin. Now, in this game, you can do any number of different things regarding what side you're going to choose. So, of course, you can play as the entire Allies, or you can play as the entire Axis, or if you decide to, you can actually just go ahead and play as one country. So if you want to just play as the United States, you can do that. If you want to just play as the Soviet Union, you can do that. In this case, though, we've actually gone ahead and we wanted to play as the Allies all over the place. So I'm already dropping some tanks here. We've got a ton of tanks, and I'm pretty sure you guys won't see the actual tank pop-up. Let's take a look here. No, you won't. So what I'm getting right now is a pop-up that's showing me all of these different tanks that I can drop down on the field, and I'm basically going to be putting them over here in this location. We've got some rocket units. We've also got some bombers. Let's drop the bombers over here near Kiev, and the 5th Shock Army. This is obviously an infantry force, pretty effective one at that. And now we can continue. So we're obviously trying to push into Germany. best way to do that is sort of use their own tactics against them and basically start a blitz with one of these tank divisions. But we've already done a lot of attacks our last turn when we were playing. So I'm going to send this tank near Lvov. I'm going to attack the enemy tank unit there. Hello, Byron. How you doing, buddy? And we're going to attack again. Not all tanks, but some tanks get 2 attacks. So that makes our job very easy in terms of breaking through. We still have a lot of work to do, though. So Stanislavov, it's an area we clearly want to get into. We're going to go ahead and attack and hope for the best. Let's bring in some of those bombers. Ah, that's right. We put them down this turn, so we're not going to be moving them. Now, what I am trying to do is break through the Romanian lines. These guys absolutely look like we could destroy them if we push hard enough. The problem is they do have quite a lot of German support here. So we're going to try to hit the armored cars. Hey, Kukulander, how you doing? Good to see you. Let's see. Attack here. Well, we could attack, but once again, you see that 3? That means we're going to probably lose 3 men out of our unit. What I am going to do is go to the Hungarian unit right here. And, of course, the more south you go on the actual Eastern Front, the weaker the units. This is where they start to use Slovak units. They start to use Hungarian units, Romanian units. I think this is the best spot for a breakthrough. It's not to say we will break through here. It's just to say that this is the best spot to start a breakthrough. So here we go. Okay, we're going to attack once again with the infantry here. Kind of find that's not a good answer. I hope everything's alright, man. We're going to go ahead and attack here. Do the same over here. So right now we're trying to take the town of Orsha. Not really a very important town, but it's in our way. So its level of importance is actually quite subjective. I mean, to us, it's not that important, but if the Germans lose it, it's hugely important to them because we've just gotten a little bit closer to Berlin, right there. We're not in Germany yet, but I do believe we're in Eastern Poland. Yes, we are definitely in Eastern Poland at this point with our Russians. We also got some partisan units back here. I'm going to leave Stanislavov alone, but I am going to go for that enemy HQ unit. So obviously destroying enemy headquarters units is hugely helpful. Like many of the games in the grand strategy sort of nexus, you know, a headquarters unit brings supplies to the unit, it gives morale to the unit, gives orders to the unit. So without an HQ unit, clearly that guy's going to be in a bit of trouble. All of the units in that general stack are going to have some trouble continuing. So we moved with all of our Red Army forces, pretty much. We haven't done anything on the Finnish front, and I don't plan to be honest. At the very least, I'll go ahead and try to bomb them with our battleships, but I don't really want to attack on this front. Let's keep moving. That's right, the holiday sale is out, indeed. Okay, let's see, guys. So I think we'll go over to the other, the Western Allies. And we've actually got a few units here that are trying to land. They've got enemies in front of them. So that guy was not able to make landfall. Let's get this guy out of the way. There we go. That's more like it. So as you can see, we've made landfall here in Normandy near Cherbourg. And so, of course, we're trying to move deeper into France, but we don't know what the enemy has waiting for us. You know, they could have a ton in store for us. Can you tell us which locations are no-go for supplies, says I'm honest? That's a good question. So, basically, let me try to find an example here. I might send one of our units out into a no-supply zone to show you. Okay, for instance, this partisan unit. Now, a partisan unit is not a very good example because basically partisan units, and this may sound a little strange, but they supply themselves. You know, they don't need a supply chain or anything like that. They supply themselves from the land around them, maybe some airdrops given to them by allied forces, etc. But if this was a regular infantry unit, let's say this was one of ours, then this guy would be completely out of supply. He would have no railroads going to him. He would have no connection to our actual territory. And of course, he would be in a nasty, nasty situation. So in general, you know, trying to cut off enemy rail yards really helps. If we can get a tank back here, for instance, and cut off the rail yard from Dogov, we're going to basically stop all of the supplies going into Ostrov, or a very, very big amount of them. So that's going to help big time. Also have a few units here that can go ahead, get on the amphibious transport, and they can be on the beach next turn. So we're going to start moving all of these guys that are able to. We are going to start moving them. And why can't he leave from Dover? Come on. Portsmouth should be able to leave from here. Yes, awesome. Amphibious transport. This is how we basically get on shore. That's a Canadian unit. I'm going to do the same with this guy right here, the Canadian General unit. Pop him out for an amphibious transport as well. If you're wondering what an amphibious transport is, of all those wonderful D-Day movies, you've probably seen them many times. Troop carrier. Now, of course, driving a troop carrier across the entire English Channel, actually probably doable. It depends on what the weather's like. And the weather in the days before D-Day was quite bad. So I'm assuming that these aren't actually just the actual landing boats, but it's also sort of a troop carrier ship that releases these landing craft. Ah, this looks like the Operation Art of War, but better, says Infantryman for Life. And actually, you're missing a lot, Infantryman for Life, because unfortunately, this game does not do great on display capture. This has nothing to do with buying the game or playing it. I mean, you guys, it's a great game for that. But in terms of being able to capture it on a stream, we haven't been able to. Like, you guys are seeing the attacks, all that. That's great. But you guys aren't seeing the messages pop up. So, for instance, you'll get a message with a picture that says, like, partisans rose up in X, Y, and Z city. And I think that's a part of the game that's really, really cool. So I'm a little sad that we can't show that to you guys, but it adds a lot to an already great game. I will say that. So let's see. What can we do with this fellow right here? I believe this is actually a paratrooper unit. It is. So I could go ahead and set his mode to prepare. Get him to prepare, get on planes, and prepare to fly over here. Kalani says, this is going to bankrupt me. So many games I wonder are like $30 to $40 off. Absolutely. Look at the sale on Command. Or is that? No, that might not be on sale yet. We'll have to wait a little bit. All right, let's go ahead. Open fire here on St. Malo. We've destroyed the garrison here at St. Malo. Now, garrison units are not the best in terms of actual combat. Sort of the same thing as an Ost Brigade. For those of you that don't know what an Ost Brigade is, it's basically non-Germans. So essentially, maybe French, maybe Western Russians, Belarusians, things like that, that have basically been drafted into the Wehrmacht. And most of the time, they don't really have a choice. A lot of the times, they accept just because they need enough, money to eat. So we're facing in those garrison units mostly Ospreys. Now this is worrying me because Dempsey is about to get destroyed by these German units. So we're about to use lose our British commander here if we're not careful. All right, just dropped off some British infantry units right there. Let's go ahead and attack. Move over here. Let's move our destroyer. Open fire. And we've already opened fire with that destroyer, but we could keep on using our bombers here to weaken the units at Cherbourg. It's never a bad idea to do that. Yeah, I told you, Kalania. So it is up. There you go. This is definitely the time to purchase Kimano. Is this better manageable than Hearts of Iron? Yes. Yes. Definitely. Well, it depends what Hearts of Iron you're talking about. Even Hearts of Iron 4, the recent one, I feel there's a lot of issues in terms of managing attacks by our armies, managing naval invasions, for instance, in Hearts of Iron for me is a nightmare. And I actually like the Hearts of Iron series. Don't get me wrong. I like playing Hearts of Iron 4. I mean, it's in my Steam library. I occasionally play a mod or two, but, naval invasions, things like that are just, to me, overly complicated in Hearts of Iron 4. That's just my opinion. I would say this is a much easier game to learn. Yes, definitely. Okay, guys, we're going to end the turn. First, let me take a look at our Italian front. Now, this is the front I really don't like to mess with, and primarily it's because these units are actually quite good. The German units here on the border are quite good, and in fact, this is the border between northern and southern Italy. These guys put up a very good fight. So what I generally do in this situation, first of all, I reinforce my units. Once again, you guys are not seeing the reinforcement screen, but basically a reinforcement screen pops up, which allows you to not only reinforce your units, but also to add other things to them, so anti-tank weapons, etc. We're going to go ahead and add that, and I'm basically just going to stay put. I'm not going to push on any front. I'll move this guy back so that he can prepare a bit, and we'll move these Canadians forward so they can hold the line. And I think that's about it. Not really going to do much more attacking. Commando is Command Modern Air Naval Operations series. Commando is the abbreviation for Command Modern Air Naval Operations. Here we go. Probably our most advanced game of all time. Okay, we're going to end the turn, guys. So once again, I will read you what happens at the end of the turn, because unfortunately we do have messages pop up here that you guys are not going to see. Wait a minute. That did not work. All right, we've got an autosave. Let's load that up. Okay, so this is actually quite deep into 44. Yeah, that was strange. We had a little issue there. Hold on, guys. Sorry about this. There you go. I fear we're going to have to go ahead and reload that. We get rid of action here. Okay, we might actually take a look at something else. Unfortunately, we had a little issue there, so maybe we'll jump into something else. So let's go to single player, and I'm going to show you one of the mods. So there are various mods. For some reason, it's not allowing us to end the turn properly, Muso. Not sure why. Could try again. In fact, this time what we'll do, since a lot of you guys have not seen the actual entire invasion, we'll go ahead and play the D-Day to Berlin campaign from the beginning. So, as you can see, if I want to, I can go ahead, play as the Allies, and what I'm going to do now is I am going to go ahead and set France and Russia are going to be controlled by the AI, so I'm only going to be controlling the Western Front. That's what we're going to be doing. So we're leaving the Soviets to the AI, and this is something you can do in your game. You don't have to necessarily play as the US or England or everybody together. You can select who you play as. So for now, we're going to be playing as the British, the French, and the Americans. The Soviets will have their own sort of game. Now, of course, they're still going to be on our side. They're still our allies, which is great, but we're not going to be having to control them, etc. So I think this is much more interesting. Okay, we just got an intelligence report. Anti-air spotted near Dusseldorf. Intelligence report. Corps spotted in Sofia, of course. Intelligence report. Heavy artillery spotted near Cluj. Intelligence report. Battleship spotted near Trondheim. And here we go, guys. Report on Allied war aims. Soldiers, sailors, and airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force. The eyes of the world are upon you. The hopes and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you. In company with our brave allies and brothers in arms on other fronts, you will bring about the destruction of the German war machine, the elimination of Nazi tyranny over the oppressed peoples of Europe, and security for ourselves in a free world. Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well-trained, well-equipped, and battle-hardened. He will fight savagely. I have full confidence in your courage and devotion to duty and skill in battle. We will accept nothing less than full victory. Signed, Dwight D. Eisenhower. There we go, guys. So that's the intro. Nice little letter from the president. And, of course, now we get started as the Allies. And at this point, we're just playing as the Western Allies. If this is more, if this is something you'd prefer starting the game, I would probably recommend, if you're new to the game, just take one side. Don't feel like you need to play as the entire Allied force. So first things first, we need to get on those beaches. Let's try and loosen them up a bit. All right, we got a few core here. I'm going to bring this unit. I'm just going to fire at their actual ports. Probably not the nicest thing to do. We're going to bring our bombers in. We're going to bomb this unit. Now, defensive anti-aircraft fire just popped up. Okay, let's go ahead and grab this one. Once again, defensive air fire. Hello, Freedom Tower. Welcome. Yeah, a Ferrari made of slits. that's what we got. Okay, let's see. Move this guy forward. We'll grab the guy in Dover, and we're going to go ahead. Now, this is strange, because I know Dover is a port city, but in this game, for whatever reason, you actually have to move to Southampton or Portsmouth, which admittedly are bigger port cities than Dover, so that kind of makes sense. Let's grab our amphibious vehicles, and Army suffers landing casualties. So that's that thing you guys hear me say, like Army suffers landing casualties, etc. That's the bit we're not getting in the stream, unfortunately. We're not getting the full overlay. These guys are definitely going to be useful. Let's see what kind of unit this is. This is the 1st Tanks Division. Nice. So I could move up to Cherbourg, or I could commence the attack here. I think I'm going to commence the attack. Actually, no. The reason being, taking this area will cut off the enemy from any supplies. They'll still get supplies for the port, actually. The port will bring in some supplies. And we're going to attack the enemy garrison here. Probably an Ost Brigade, as I said before. Attack them again. And we've wiped them out. Okay, nice. As you can see there, you can see the land change color. That basically means that this area is under Allied control. So I'm actually going to be attacking Cherbourg this time, just by trying to land right on it. Of course, first we're going to fire at it to try and weaken it a bit. And then I'm just going to land right on Cherbourg. Now, our guys may not be able to land. They may just be able to inflict casualties initially, as you can see there. But that's going to change. So let's move this guy over here. I'm going to move him out. Enemy, or our infantry units. And as you can see, this area is slowly but surely turning over to our side. So we already control a tiny little portion here of France. Anybody in that portion is going to be, or at least he's going to feel free for a while. We've got some paratroopers here. Let's drop them off. Interceptors. Oh no, we've got enemy fighter planes attacking our beautiful, beautiful paratroopers. Thank you, Marine. Welcome aboard. And if you're an actual Marine, thank you for your service, sir. All right, we dropped our American HQ there. That probably wasn't the greatest idea in the world, because now it's open enemy fire. So I'm bringing this 2nd Army from the UK here, and I'm going to start engaging the enemy unit. In fact, any bomber I have that can help destroy that unit is coming in. Interceptors are going to try to stop our bombers. And we've got some British escorts with us, so maybe that'll help. And as you can see, the enemy lost some fighters that were stationed in Paris. And we lost 1 bomber. But of course, that could translate into 5, 10, 15, any number of different bombers. Amphibious transport. Let's go ahead and get that one out. Let's get this one out as well. Going to go ahead and attack Cherbourg again with the amphibious vehicle. Let's see if we can hit him one more time. I'm not sure if we've got any AVs left. Oh boy, we got hit pretty bad there near Le Havre. I'm still going to attack Le Havre. It'd be great if we could open up this particular area. It'd be a nice wide space for us to drop off the rest of our men. Let's go ahead and also drop the paratroopers. And of course, this is exactly what happened during Operation Overlord. Now, the paratroopers here suffered landing casualties. That's the message that just popped up. But it's not going to stop me from trying to take St. Malo from the Germans. So let's see if we can take it overnight here. And St. Malo is open. Can we take it, though? No, we can't. It's just out of our grasp. Our men are tired from, of course, using their paratrooper abilities. Would that be great? Dropping behind enemy lines. I'm also going to take this particular paratrooper unit, and I'm going to cut off the road to Paris. So here we go, and we can also attack Cannes. So somebody was asking about supplies in the initial part of this Let's Play, and one thing I can say to sort of help you understand the supply chain, I guess, is if we zoom into Cannes here, it's about as close as we can get, you can see right now that it has 1, 2, 3 rail lines actually leading to it. So we've just cut off one of those rail lines. Now, the game is pretty realistic, so technically speaking, they're still getting supplies. Are they getting less supplies? Absolutely. And that's going to affect the way they fight, you know, the way they approach the enemy, etc. It's going to affect a lot of things. Let's go ahead and send these guys into Le Havre. We still got that defensive naval battery opening fire on us. And hopefully we can still get over it. And, ooh, yes, we can. And we've landed in Le Havre. Unfortunately, this is, of course, a general unit of ours. So if the enemy attacks it, we could be losing a general really early on in the game. And that's never a good thing. I don't usually use our fighter groups for attacks, but I might do it just this once. Send in some fighters. Come on, Spitfires. All right, let's move these AVs as well. Our men are not getting very good shots off. So let's get our Canadians here. We'll move them next turn. We'll do the same with our British infantry. All right, Canadians, come on. No, they don't want to do anything. We still have these bombers here. We're definitely going to go ahead and hit Cannes or Cherbourg. Either or is going to be very helpful to us. We just want to minimize the amount of damage we're going to take from a full frontal assault, which of course we're going to have to do one way or the other. Okay, let's go ahead. Amphibious transport time. Okay, guys, we're ending the turn. Let's hope for the best. So I will be reading to you guys what happens. Of course, here we've got our allies, the Soviets. They're going to be playing on their own. Like I said before, if you want to play as the allies, you still have a chance to play as the Soviets and the Americans and the British all at once. We just specifically chose the Western allies for this battle. So keep that in fire. Keep that in mind. I just looked at the announcement, said fire. Yes, the difficulties of streaming. All right, here we go. Enemy interceptors are arriving. We've got some Soviet escorts trying to carry out some bombing attacks, no doubt. And actually, the Soviet escorts took a nasty little hit there. Nothing too serious, but they definitely did not win that fight. All right, enemy interceptors. The Soviets are sending in some bombers from Vinitsa, and they actually do have some escorts here from Proshkorov. So let's see if they can actually stop the enemy. Excuse me, guys. Yeah, keep that in fire. Indeed. Here we go. Got to have a Agrippa quotes area here, or coats. If you want some Agrippa coats, you can buy those coats down below. No, I wish. Should make some Agrippa coats. All right, here we go. So right now we're actually watching the Soviets, and this is not what I expected. Had I known that we were going to have to watch them anyway, we just would have played with them. But basically, they're trying to push into Germany, of course. This is really the point of the war, 1944, where the Germans were pretty sure that they were finished. The only person that was still in denial was, of course, Hitler himself. But 1943, there was still a little bit of hope that the Germans had. You know, the ultra-nationalists that thought maybe there's still a way out of this, but 1944, it was pretty much finished for them. And it's really only a matter of time until either the Soviets or the Western Allies make it to Berlin. What I like to do, just to test myself, and this is completely up to you guys, is when I'm playing as the Western Allies and not as the Soviets, I like to see if I can reach Berlin first. Of course, the Soviets reached Berlin first, in World War II, and that makes things a little bit more difficult for us. We're definitely not as close to Berlin as they are, or we probably don't have nearly as many men as the Soviets do. That's another issue. Now, does anybody else know when Berlin was taken by the Soviets? A lot of people like to think of, sort of when they think of the Berlin Wall, they like to think of Berlin as, half in West Germany and half in East Germany. But actually, it's not really quite that simple. Berlin was actually completely cut off from West Germany by a few hundred miles. Now, of course, if you cross the wall, you would technically be in a region known as West Germany. A very small part of the city of Berlin would be West Germany, but then you've got the issue of getting from West Germany to the actual West Germany. So you've got some issues. Exactly, Amianis. Now, that being said, we have to be specific that it is in East Germany, I should say, but it's split in half. But once again, even if you manage to escape from East to West Berlin, you still have to get from West Berlin to West Germany. Now, when you're in West Berlin, you're not in East Germany, but you're certainly not in a part of Germany where you can get adequate housing, adequate food, etc., adequate assistance. It's basically just kind of a marker, unfortunately. Yeah, was is more appropriate. Exactly, Amianis. Right now, guys, we're just seeing the Soviets bash the Germans apart. They'll eventually break down. Anytime I'm playing as the Soviets in this campaign, what I like to do is turn the Germans' strategy against them. So I basically do a sort of Soviet blitzkrieg, try to get behind the enemy and cut off all of their rail lines. It's been very effective. Kalania, play as the Germans and reach Berlin first, and Suvani responds with absolutely true statement of first turn victory. Exactly. Victory right away. The stream would be 30 seconds long. It'd be like, oh, guys, we're going to open the game now, load it up, and well, look at that. We win. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Sort of thing. Yeah, that's very true, Amianis, but even wall aside, even if you were moving from East, well, again, we're talking about Berlin here. We've got to be very specific. East Berlin to West Berlin, you still got to get out of Berlin. Let's put it that way. Van Bishop says this is his game of the year for 2017. Very cool. I love it. I'm sad that we can't show you guys the messages popping up, because the messages in this game are one of the things I love the most, especially since, partisans, things like that are randomized. So if you start getting a lot of, sort of national morale points, you're going to have a lot of partisan squads popping up behind enemy lines. You can use them to take over enemy cities, liberate capitals. I just love it. I just love it. $50 viewers as well. Well, welcome everybody. Good to see you guys. Interesting, Theodore Reichs. So Theodore's saying he or she had two friends who climbed over the Berlin Wall only with a ladder. That definitely takes some courage. That is serious. I'd love to hear that story sometime. That absolutely takes some courage. Of course, when the Berlin Wall did go up, the penalties for crossing were pretty severe. It was not at all uncommon to have people shot by the East German police as they were crossing the wall, trying to get to West Berlin in this case. And also just, a lot of different issues. I mean, some parts of the wall were mined. Some parts of the wall had tremendous amounts of barbed wire. I've actually seen photos. I'm sure you can find them if you go to Google Images of West Berliners pulling an East Berliner through the barbed wire as an East German officer is trying to pull him the other way. And it's just this horrific tug of war, which, I think the guy did survive. I think the guy actually managed to get pulled through to the west. but just imagine being in that situation, how terrifying that must be. Okay, guys, so this is one of the messages you unfortunately don't see. We've got a really cool picture here, and it says Albanian partisans mobilize. So we're going to have, there we go, some partisans in Albania, and French partisans disrupt supply. Once again, a really cool picture here that we can't see, unfortunately. And look at that. We've actually got some French partisans, and French partisans declare the Free Republic of Vercors. VRCORS. I've never seen this message pop up, so that's cool. So they declared a Free Republic of Vercors. They've actually started their own little country here. The Danish Freedom Council calls a general strike to disrupt German communications. The Danes, always peaceful. Italian pro-Allied resistance activity hinders access supplies. So we do know that in Italy there were a lot of left-wing groups, a lot of communist groups, socialist groups that were fighting against Benito Mussolini and the fascists, trying to basically wipe them off the face of the earth. Good riddance. And so we're going to have to wait and see if our Italian groups here can fight off all of these Italian fascists and make it through. So here we go. Germany announces the formation of a people's militia called the Volkssturm. So the Volkssturm, for those of you guys that are not aware, we've been over this in a few other streams. The Volkssturm is basically the People's Army. And this is, if you've ever seen pictures of the Battle of Berlin, you might see one of the most famous pictures I've seen is the Wehrmacht handing out, what's the word? Panzerfausts to basically just regular civilians. That is the Volkssturm. So it's essentially civilians that were expected to fight to the death defending Germany. So now that the Volkssturm have been created, they absolutely know that this is a very, very serious problem. We have landed, we are closing in on Berlin, and the Germans know this is the case. Wow, in 1988, there was one spot on the wall close to the railroad that was not guarded, says Theuda, near Bornholmer Strasse. And I know the Strasse only because got a friend with a very similar name, so I know the German Strasse, what looks to us like a B. That is really cool. 1988. Yeah, they may have been one of the last. Isn't it? How disappointing would it be if you're crossing the wall and then the next day suddenly the wall is torn down? That would be pretty disappointing. Like, oh, I did all that for nothing? Really? Yeah, well, they could have just waited. I took that risk. Oh, I could imagine, I'll be honest. And I mean, I'm sure the penalty would still be severe, you know, even if they had to spend a few months as opposed to a few years in jail. It's not going to be a fun time. Believe me, the Stasi were the East German secret police, would not be friendly when they were interrogating you, and you were in for really probably the worst experience of your life. I'm sure a ton of people can attest to that. I believe there's a film called The Lives of Others. I believe that's the title, which is actually about the Stasi and how they would listen in to people, etc. Very scary stuff. All right, back to us, finally. Those Russians are done bashing the Germans around. It's our turn now. But it does look like we've got some German destroyers coming into the English Channel here, the Straits of Dover, and they're actually trying to shoot our ships down. Wow, I'm honest. Oh, they destroyed our English general, and they actually got a 357 national morale bonus. That is huge. So, obviously, that's a newbie mistake. I wouldn't make a mistake like that on my actual channel. But, got to be careful, because if the enemy attacks your headquarters, obviously your headquarters, they're not as well defended as your other units. You know, there's a lot of guys with some decent clothes and a stack of papers, essentially. That's what a headquarters is. Okay, let's take a look here what Amianis is saying. Back to the game. What if you are supplying in your territory? I'm not sure what you're asking exactly, Amianis. So, for instance, nothing is cut, but there are places you cannot supply. As far as I know, that doesn't happen. So, as long as you're connected to a rail line that's connected to your territory, you're going to get supplied. I mean, maybe, and I doubt it. I've never tried it, but maybe, and actually it's not our turn yet. We're still waiting for the Soviets to finish their turn. If you go up to like northern, into Siberia, so northern Russia, and you send a unit up there, maybe it would be out of supply, but I don't think so, honestly. I think the way it works is as long as you're connected to that rail yard, you could be all the way on the other side of the map, you're still going to get some supply. Never underestimate paper cuts, said Suveri. That's a good point. He makes a good point. Especially if you know who Gambit is. Playing cards are deadly with that guy. Gotta draft him into the army. Alright, so here we go. The Finns are trying to attack the Soviet line. Now, anytime I play as the Soviets, I don't mess with the Finns. I just don't. I don't want an entirely new war starting. We're already at war, but I'd rather just sort of let them deal with their own problems, basically. Yes, that could have been it, that maybe you were far from the railway. I will say something about the front line. Perhaps what happened to you, and I could be wrong, but in terms of reinforcing a unit, you can't reinforce a unit when you're like right up next to another enemy unit, because obviously if any of your men are arriving, you know, they're going to get shot at. So that's true in most strategy games. You want to have your guys at least a tile or two away from the enemy and probably close to some rail lines if you are going to reinforce. Maybe that's what happened, but I've never been cut off from supply in the way you're discussing. That's a great question. Regarding reinforcements, I will explain to you how they work, but unfortunately, since we can't see the overlay menus... By the way, Yugoslav partisans rise against the occupation. We've got some more Yugoslav partisans here. But I will show you more or less what the general rule is about reinforcements. The Japanese invasion of India is defeated at the battles of Kohima and Impal. Now, of course, India and Japan are not part of this map, but whatever's going on in Japan still counts here. So Japanese pilots begin kamikaze attacks in the Pacific, and we've got a picture here of a Japanese pilot just diving down, probably not coming back. It would be pretty pathetic, after all, to be a kamikaze pilot that survived. Let's be honest. Let's be absolutely honest. You hit the side of the ship, and all of a sudden you find yourself in the water, picked up by your fellow Japanese, and you've survived. That's pretty embarrassing, I think. All right. Garrison spotted there. We've got a garrison spotted in Kemijärvi. And a garrison spotted in Trondheim. Is there a plan to do a world map in the future? Ooh, I don't know about that. I'm not sure. Honestly, I don't think so, but I don't know. Let's take a look here. So yeah, what Amianos was asking, he was asking something about reinforcements. So the way reinforcements work, first of all, you want to have a nice open lane to be delivering reinforcements. This one's not the best, but I think we can take this area with our amphibious vehicle pretty soon. So let's see if we can do that, and then we can show you more properly how that works. Now, you're not going to be able to see everything, so you're going to have to take my word for it. But basically, let's take this unit, for instance. I'm going to move him back. Now, one cool thing about strategic command... nope, never mind. Hold on a second. Let's get another guy. Let's get the tank unit. So right now, we can't reinforce, and I'm guessing the reason is we really don't have much of a hold here on the beach. We need to go ahead, take more areas, open up some lines, and then we can start reinforcing. I will give you the general idea, though. So if we right-click on this unit right now, I'm not sure if you guys see this pop up. You might not see anything, unfortunately. Up on top, it says reinforce. You select that, and then, of course, you can go ahead and select how many reinforcements you want to give. You can also make the unit better. So, for instance, you can give them, like, anti-aircraft weapons, things like this. But keep in mind, this has everything to do with your national morale points. So we can look right now that as the Americans, we have 972 national morale. As the Brits, we've got 521 national morale, which is pretty good. Definitely enough to reinforce some units. But if you don't have enough, you're not going to be able to reinforce those units. So keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and drop off a few more of these fellows. All right, nice. Amphibious transport. Do the same with this guy here. Okay, we're going to try to land once again in Khan. Actually, probably should have attacked with our tanks first. Can attack with them now, though. And Khan is ours. The battle for Khan. Army suffers landing casualties. Unfortunately, we did lose some guys on the landing, but it's all going to work out for the best. We can bring our Canadians forward so that they feel they contributed. Just kidding. Just kidding. Actually, the Canadians were very brave during D-Day. Let's take a look here. Okay. And bring some AVs. So for the amphibious vehicles, first I'm going to cut off the enemy rail yard there. One thing I love about the game is just seeing how much land you can take. You know, and I'm not sure how much you guys use your imagination when you play strategy games. Personally, I use almost everything excluding my imagination. I mean, I'm always trying to imagine what it's like for the people in my game, for the infantrymen, etc. So when I take this territory as the Allies, I sort of imagine that there must be a few families in this area, a few villages that are probably very happy that we've arrived. And I just start to imagine, like, wow, this area is ours, it belongs to us. It's just a really cool feeling. Now, here we go. We've got these guys who have formed their own republic, Massif de Veco. So this is the name of the republic, is the Massif de Veco. And I've actually never had that happen. That's really cool. Obviously, I told you guys about the massive amount of partisans in the game, but I've never had partisans establish their own country. So, of course, once France is liberated, they'll probably turn over their power to the French government. But for now, they're going to be moving around, moving the Massif de Veco and trying to cover this entire area and make it a big republic. Pretty cool stuff, to say the least. All right, let's move this guy forward. Oh boy, defensive naval fire. Those guns are deadly, and that's the Amiens coastal guns. We could go ahead and try to bomb it if we want. Freedom Tower, that's a great suggestion. Actually, we kind of have a game like that. It's called Flashpoint Campaigns. I'm not sure if Musso can give you a link to it, but Flashpoint Campaigns is basically that. You know, it's not about an attack on the U.S., mind you, but it is about an attack on West Germany during the Cold War. So it's basically the entire Soviet Union attacking the U.S., the British, etc., by just doing a massive offensive into West Germany. And yes, they absolutely were brooding Phobos. So we do have a game like that. We also have a mod in this, and actually we're coming up to the end of the stream, so I'm not saving this one. We lost a British HQ division. If we play this again, we are starting over. I'm not starting. I know we can still win, but I'm not starting with a lost British HQ division. So I do want to show you the mod here. Hold on one second. Let's jump over there quickly. So we do have a Red Dawn style mod in the game. That being said, it's, again, same setup as Flashpoint Campaigns, where basically it's all about East Germany attacking West Germany with the help of the Soviet Union, of course. So here we go. First things first, let's take a look. It's called the World War III 1946. We're going to go ahead and play the campaign. We're not going to play all of it, but I'm going to select the Allies. I feel like I said that with a British accent. The Allies, we're going to accept the Allies. I certainly hope so. Yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. Thank you, Musso. So as far as Flashpoint Campaigns goes, it's definitely something you need to, I believe, purchase on our main site. Okay, World War III, 1946, Stalin strikes first. The atomic bomb and B-29 super fortress are often credited with preventing Stalin from attacking the West after World War II. America's great armies had melted away by the spring of 1946. Britain was on its knees economically and fighting a losing battle to keep its empire intact. Germany was a wasteland. The US and Britain had dumped thousands of planes into the sea, down mine shafts, and left them rotting in the jungle. On the border of Germany, Stalin had 60 divisions. composed of battle-hardened veterans. The West had 12 divisions of glorified policemen remaining in France and Germany. What if the American atomic bomb program was disrupted? Would Stalin have attacked, and what would be the outcome? So that's actually the little secret folder you get. And the USSR Stavka report, which is really funny, you actually get secret messages from the Soviet Union, and occasionally you can decode them yourself. So this one says, Delmar, success, stop. Many dead, both Dayton and KY, stop. Proceed with operation, stop. So this is basically, I'm not actually sure what it's called, the wire. It's not a telephone, but it's sort of that, you know, you're using your, come on, somebody help me out here. Basically, you know, you're using that, you want to try to decode their wired messages. Okay, spy named Delmar. George Koval was a Soviet spy. His codename was Delmar. Koval's job was the health physics officer for the U.S. atomic bomb program. Koval had control of the world's rarest and deadliest substance, polonium. On April 29th, 1946, he sets off 2 small bombs, and the world's supply of polonium finds its way into the lungs of thousands of American nuclear scientists. Telegraph. Yes, that's the one. Thank you. You got it, Laird. It's a telegraph. Yes, Morse code is part of it. So here we go. Many of the affected are dead within months. Panic spreads as families and friends become ill as well. The United States nuclear program is effectively halted. The West has a total of 4 Mark III atomic bombs remaining. Stalin seizes the moment and strikes. So of course now Stalin will attack. And unfortunately, you guys are missing a lot of the new units buttons that are popping up there. And of course now this is an attack by Stalin. They're going to advance, and we're going to have to try to stop them as the Allies. Now this is definitely one of those scenarios where it's a lot easier to play as the Soviets. It really is. When you look at the amount of forces they have here, it's amazing. The one benefit, well, various benefits of playing as the Allies. Number one, you're playing alongside a lot of other countries. Number two, you're going to have a lot more partisans pop up. The Soviets don't really have partisans per se. Which is a little hard to believe. I'm sure there would be some pro-Soviet forces in the West, but it's all part of the game. So right now, it's really just the initial start of the attack. But if you guys are taking a look at this map, you can see this is going to turn bloody very, very fast. So what was being asked before about a Red Dawn-like scenario, I think this is as close as you're going to get. Brooding Phobos says, your grandfather was in Arty Battalion. He was always covering Canadians during their advances. Can you win as an ally, Amianos asks? Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. You can do just about anything in this game. I mean, you could even, I'm not this good, but I've seen or known about people that have started as the Germans in 1942 and still managed to win the game. So I've never heard of anybody winning as the Germans in 1944, but I have heard of friends who held off the Allies for, you know, a long, long time, like 1948, 1949. So that's certainly possible. Okay, you can see all over the place. So we're definitely not prepared as the Allies to stop the enemy. But this is, of course, not the main game. This is just one of the many mods you can get. There's a very large community on our forums for Strategic Command. So this is just one of the many mods you can get to play as the Soviets or as the Allies, play a sort of Cold War turned hot type thing. There's also 1938. As another possibility for a Let's Play. So maybe you could play as Germany and never start the war. Or maybe you could play as Germany and your first target is Italy, for instance. It's totally up to you. There's a lot of micromanagement in this game that can completely change the outcome. Oh, that's really cool, Brooding Phobos. Very awesome. Thank him for his service. All right, my friends, we are coming to the end of this stream, and if we stick around here with these Soviets, we will be here a long, long time. I do want to see more of you guys playing Strategic Command. I do apologize that we just weren't able to get basically the pages in this game for whatever reason, they don't respond to display capture. I think they think display capture is some sort of virus. They stay as far away from it as they can. That being said, I would highly recommend picking this game up, especially if you're a fan of World War II. I'm still playing this game over on my channel and having a really fun time doing it. And I started in the 1944 campaign, and I'm up on episode 17. So that just goes to show you how much replayability this game has. There's a ton of replayability in this game. And even if you take the 1944 scenario, you're still going to have at least a few days, if not more, of gameplay, without a doubt. Well, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. As always, it's my pleasure to do streams for you guys, and I love you all, well, almost as equally. Almost. A few of you I'm not so sure about yet, but we'll get over that, right? Together. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, stopping by. As always, we have a great time with you guys. Thank you, Freedom Tower. And I hope to see you guys on tomorrow's stream as well. Why, thank you, Kalania. Thank you very much. All right, guys, take care, and don't get trapped in a third world war.